Guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for The Walking Dead, Season 4, Episode 11, Claimed. And this episode for me was another really good episode. No, it was not as big as the last two, but it still was a pretty big episode. What I kind of like that they're doing is we're not really focusing on everyone because everyone's pretty much split up at this point. The way it's going to go now is it's going to be a different group every episode, and this one really focused on the main plot was Rick, Carl, and Michonne, and then the subplot was Glen, Glen, I want to say Maggie, but I said Maggie by mistake, sorry, Glen, Tara, and Aberham Eugene and Rosita. So I really enjoyed that about this episode. I like the way they divided it like that, and I thought that was really cool because it's really not something we've seen on The Walking Dead before. Usually The Walking Dead is one consecutive storyline throughout the whole thing, and I like the way they're kind of changing things up in 4B. I think that's really good. So, let's just get to this episode because I really, really enjoyed it. So, first we see Carl. We're going to go to the Carl, Rick, and Michonne stuff first. Then we'll go to Tara and Glen and Abraham and all of them. So Carl's eating some cereal. He laughs when Michonne comes in, and Michonne says she wishes that they had soy milk to drink. So Carl says when he drank it once a long time ago, it made him sick. He would rather have powder milk, and then mentions Judith's formula, and then he stops talking. So Michonne goes to see Rick, and Rick thanks her for making Carl laugh, and saying he almost forgot that sound. Rick says he can't be his father and his best friend. Carl needs her, and Michonne asks what the plan is. Michonne wonders if where they are now is home or stop on the way, and Rick says to stay here while they figure it all out. Michonne says she will go out for supplies with Carl, and Rick offers to go too, but Michonne tells him to stay back since he did pass out before. Rick goes to the front with them and sees them off. Rick then goes back inside, pushes the couch to the door. Rick goes upstairs, lays in bed with a book. Michonne asks Carl if he found anything good in the house he was in. Carl says no, and shows him how she found some canned cheese, and Michonne says he doesn't seem fine at all. Carl says he's very tired. Michonne goes ahead and sprays the cheese in her mouth. The cheese is now the pudding of the last episode we had the pudding with Carl. Now we have the sprayed cheese. I think that's interesting the way they're doing that. So then Michonne says she is sorry and mentions she's not good with boys her age. They go up to another door. Michonne knocks on the door. Michonne says she had a 3-year-old son who found her extremely funny. And the two then go in the house. They drop their bags at the front door right away. By the way, I love this Carl-Michonne dynamic. I really like that. Michonne's kind of being a motherly figure towards Carl. Even though Carl's growing up, he still needs a motherly figure in his life. Of course, she can't replace Lori, but she's still a motherly figure. Who I never even saw Lori's character. I heard most people didn't like her very much, but, Carl questions Michonne about her kid and life before. Michonne says she will answer one question at a time after they clear the house. So Rick is sleeping upstairs, hears voices coming from downstairs. He looks for his gun, can't hear it, hears the people walking upstairs and goes to the door. He sees a man walk into one of the rooms with a huge gun. Rick then hides himself under the bed. A person walks in and starts looking around the room. Rick is in pain, trying his best to contain it. And Rick, at this point, you really gotta feel bad for him. He's still in a lot of pain from those injuries from the governor episodes ago, which seems like it was a long time ago, honestly, but it's not a long time ago if you think about it. It was only like a couple months ago. Michonne and Carl, they're in the house. Carl asks Michonne what her child's name was. Michonne says his name was Audrey Anthony. And Carl asks another question, and Michonne tells him they have to clear another room. And I like the way she said this. She's basically saying, we have to clear all these rooms before I can ask you a question. So basically, we do this. That's a cool way to get a child to clean their room. Clean your room, and then I'll reveal stuff to you. I kind of like that. Carl then finishes a room, asks if there were any kids. Michonne says one was enough for her at the time. Carl goes and finds a giant painting. Carl asks Michonne how long it has been ever since her child died. Michonne says it happened after everything did. Carl asks if Rick knows, but Michonne tells him that she has told no one else. Michonne opens up the painting and finds it covered in weird marks. She goes into a bathroom with her sword, prepared to be drawn. She then enters a kid's room and finds it empty. She lets out a sigh and then starts to look around. Now, at this point, I think it was kind of reminding her of her child's and, life in the past. I think that's kind of what that is, kind of just taking in that, taking in the emotion that she had. I think that's pretty much what that was, and I really enjoyed that scene a lot. Definitely, the actress playing Michonne is doing a really great job this season. I'm really enjoying her character more this season than I have ever before. She lets us aside and starts to look around. She opens up another door into what would be a young girl's room. Inside are 2 walkers and a child wailer in beds. In the corner is another child at walker in a chair. Michonne gets out of the room and Carl comes by asking if everything is okay. Michonne says it's all fine. And Carl questions if there was a baby in there. Michonne says it was a dog. Carl now mentions how he got to name Judith and then says that maybe she and Michonne's child are somewhere together now. And Michonne tells him they have to go back to Rick. Rick is actually under the bed at this point, trying to slide from underneath. Something else comes up. He slides back under. The 2 men now start fighting each other of the room. One of the men are killed by being strangled to death, and Rick watched it all happen. The guy now lays back down on the bed. So Rick tries to get out from under the bed while the guy is sleeping. He gets out and starts to get up slowly, not to wake him. He runs into another room as one of the other guys comes up looking from the other 2. And Rick is trying to open the windows, but he has no luck. He then takes one of the trophies in the kid's room for a weapon. The 2 guys go downstairs. Rick hides in a bathroom, and he is seen by one of the other men, hits him in the head with a trophy. He then starts to strangle the guy until he is unconscious. He takes the man's gun. Rick then finds and opens a window. When he first opens the door a bit to not make it suspicious, and here, shit was going down here. It was getting intense, and I really love it when The Walking Dead is intense, because at this point in the episode, it had not been a very intense episode, and this really paid off. He climbs out the window quietly, slowly lowers himself off the roof. He makes a little more sound than he wants to and hides himself waiting. No one comes, and Rick makes his way to the front door. He's then listening on the porch as he whistles and eats. So basically we know now that this house is not good for them at all. They're not safe here. They need to go somewhere else. And I thought they were going to be safe. I thought we were going to see them living here for a while. I thought that's what was going to happen. But no, it looks like now what's going to happen is, they know they're not safe here. Because honestly, they're not safe anywhere at this point. There's no one is safe. Except for maybe the sanctuary. That might be the place where they're safe. So Rick notices Michonne and Carl walking back. Someone is getting attacked inside. Rick runs off to Carl. Michonne tells them to run, and then the 3 of them get away from the house. And then I really love the end of the way they ended things. Michonne, Carl, and Rick, they're walking down the railroad. They notice a train card saying that the sanctuary's ahead, and Rick says they should go. Now, we know that Lizzie and Tyreese and Carol are at the sanctuary, so they will actually find them there. It does not look like that's going to happen next week's episode, because next week's episode looks like it's just Beth and Daryl, which I'm looking forward to because I like the way they're splitting things up. But by far, the best part of this episode was Glen and Tara and the new group. I definitely enjoyed their storyline. Not that I didn't like Rick and Carl and Michonne's. I really liked their storyline. I liked the way it was, if they're like a family now. I really enjoyed that. But I really enjoyed the Aberham stuff a lot more. He definitely was a very interesting character. He started the episode because we see Glen and Tara. They're in an army vehicle being driven somewhere, and then the walkers are surrounded around the vehicle, just like the bus last week with Maggie. And Aberham comes out of the vehicle, beats the walkers up with a crowbar, jams one of the walkers in the head, takes a gun to smash in the rest of their heads. Tara says she has never seen that before, and Aberham says she does the same thing. Tara tells him he was smiling while doing it, and Aberham says he is the luckiest guy in the world. We know right now that Aberham is a complete badass. Just definitely, he's awesome, great character, and I like the way they had us introduced to these characters. It was definitely really, really good. So then Glen wakes up, sees the trees passing by his eyes. He gets up, and Tara tells him not to move, and Glen asks where they are, and Tara says she has no idea. And Glen asks if they have passed a bus. Tara says they did. And then she says everyone inside of it was dead. Tara says it's been 3 hours since they saw it. Glen then asks the guys inside to stop the truck. But they ignore him, and he cracks the windows in the back with a rifle. And then Aberham comes out. He was actually the one driving the truck. And asks where the hell they're going. Aberham says they need to stick with him and that he would not last the night alone. Glen says he will take his chances. Aberham says that the fate of the whole human race may depend on them. And Aberham introduces himself and his friends Rosita and Eugene. And let me just say, the girl who plays Rosita, hot as hell. Really liked her character. We don't really know much about her character, but at least she's hot, so that's a good thing. And then Eugene. Now, Eugene is a very interesting character because he is a scientist, and he actually knows the secret of what started the virus, which is pretty big. I never thought that we'd actually have a plot like that. I never thought we'd find out what happened to the virus, but I guess now we know someone who knows something about the virus. It's gonna get very interesting to see what happens with that storyline. So Glen asks what happened, and Eugene says it's classified, but Aberham says he has been talking to a lot of people in Washington on his phone about it, and Glen says he is sorry and keeps walking. Tara follows with him, says she will help him get back. Aberham says he's wasting his time, and there's 0% of chance he will ever find his wife alive or dead. Then Aberham says there's no reason for him to die too. Glen puts the bag down, punches Aberham in the face, says his wife is alive, and he will find her. Aberham jumps Glen, the two start fighting, and here, again, another really intense scene. Really love that. A bunch of walkers then start coming from the cornfields. As you know on this show, whenever there's an intense fight, walkers have to be involved. Aberham takes Eugene to quit the gunfire, comes over to shoot the walkers. Glen and Tara get guns from the back, help kill them too, and Aberham notices a gas leak from the truck because of Eugene's poor shooting skills. So then Abraham's under the truck trying to fix it. He starts talking about one of his experiences and asks why Eugene killed his truck. Rosita finds something on the ground and asks if it's Glen's. Glen just takes it and says sorry about the truck and starts walking back. Rosita says they have nothing else to do, starts to follow Eugene, says it is smart to go with Glen. It's smart to go with Glen, and they can find another vehicle to Washington. The three now follow Glen and Tara backwards. So Glen is walking. Aberham says he's impressed with how persistent Glen is. And Aberham mentioned that he wants to save the world. Tara asks why Aberham is following Eugene to Washington. Because she knows why Rosita's going. She knows why Eugene is going, but she's not really sure where he's going. And he says he wants to save the world. That's his goal. He wants to save the world, but Tara thinks he's lying, so we're going to have some friction between the two of them. And that is pretty much where this episode ends. And I gotta say, another really great episode. One of the things I love about this episode was the way they introduced the characters to us was a very cool way to do it. I mean, right away we saw that Aberham, is a really cool, badass character. He's also a ex-soldier or something like that, ex-sergeant. He's a sergeant, so he was a soldier, so that's a pretty big thing. And I also really like his character. I think some really great acting from him as well. But I think definitely the most interesting person is Eugene. Eugene is a very interesting character because he knows what caused this virus, and he's not going to tell them, obviously, so what's going to get him to tell them? That's what I'm wondering, what's going to happen there, and it's going to be really interesting to see. So that was basically the episode tonight. Now let me get to next week's episode. Next week's episode, because of the Oscars, it's going to kind of be a filler episode. It's going to be just Daryl and Beth. Now, I'm sure there's going to be stuff with them in the episode, but, as at the moment, that's all it's going to be. It looks like it's just going to be Daryl and Beth, which is fine for me, because I'd actually like to see more with them. I love Beth. I am actually really liking Daryl's storyline, and Beth's, Daryl and Beth's storyline. I like the way they're doing things with that. I'm interested in seeing where that's going to go, and I'm interested in seeing where they're going to go, because it seems like each episode, the characters, are eventually going to all reunite, so I'm wondering how that's going to work. We know that Rick and Carl and Michonne are going to meet up with Tyreese, Carol, and Lizzie, and Mika, and Mika, and Judith. We know that's going to happen. And one of the other things I really liked was there was a scene with Carl. He doesn't know Judith is alive, so that's going to be a great, when we see them reunite, that's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see when that happens. I will say this episode was not as good as last week's, but it was still a really great episode. I love the way they introduced all of the new characters. I really like the way they divided the two storylines. I like the way they're doing that in 4B. It's kind of something The Walking Dead has not done yet, and I really like the way they've done that. I also really love Michonne's storyline. I've loved her storyline from the get-go. Ever since they introduced it in episode 9, it's been really, really interesting. I'm interested in seeing where this is going to go. I'm wondering is her son actually dead? Is someone actually alive? I'm also wondering if maybe she might actually raise Judith or something like that. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with that. Also, maybe, Tyreese still has to figure out that Carol killed the walker, so will Rick tell him? Because, Rick and Tyreese were supposed to have that conversation, so I'm wondering if when they reunite, Tyreese is finally going to find out the truth about Carol, which is going to be huge whenever he finds out. But that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review of Switch to Birth tomorrow night, so I'll see you then. Bye!